r/AskReddit. What hobby is an instant red flag? Gambling. This is an actually good answer. With the insane rise of sports betting, this would top the list for me if I was dating. People up thread were joking that Warhammer makes you poor. I don't know if anyone's ever gotten whacked over Warhammer debts. With how sports betting is done nowadays, you're at least not dealing with a shady bookie anymore. DraftKings isn't sending dudes to your house with baseball bats to send a message. They'll just take you to actual court. Cockfighting. It's so common in the Philippines though. Most of our devoted neighbors to this hobby will literally let their entire family skip meals just so they can have bet money. So here in the USA, rooster fighting is illegal on multiple levels, and yet where I live in South Texas there are people who are very open about raising and fighting fowl. They wear clothes that advertise it. They advertise it on their truck. Everyone they know has seen their birds. And all that is technically legal, because to get busted, a lawman has to catch you with the birds, the blades, the ring, maybe, and the money, all in the same place at the same time. These guys just always struck me as a-holes. No joke, my college professor used to be close to this gorgeous girl he met in his job, and suddenly she's gone, and he never mentioned her again. During a chit-chat, he reveals that she likes to snap pics of animal dungs for fun and shows them to her friends including him. Someone on Hinge asked what my hobbies are, and there are a lot, so I listed them out to the best of my ability. She was really happy that I didn't say I was into board games. I forgot board games. So I told her that I'm into board games, actually, and she ghosted me. My friend told me, after like 8 months of knowing her, that she goes out into the woods and collects animal carcasses to process into art, uses acid to melt off the skin and pose a skeleton, makes pelts, etc. I was shocked that she'd keep such an awesome hobby secret for so long. My brother said it's because it makes her look like a psycho, and that boiling bodies is a serial killer's hobby. I love this because it's the kind of thing you can compliment a friend on for being cool and beautiful and unique, but also use it to take shots at them whenever you get the chance. You can text them out of the blue and say, "Saw some roadkill today and it made me think of you. Hope you're doing alright." I've heard a lot of people say that horse girls are crazy. One of my best friends starting from high school was a horse girl. We stayed close friends up until she got married when we got around 30 years old. I met up with her for lunch one day and casually told me she tried to stab her husband in a fit of rage. I never knew she had it in her. What made her flip her lid, you may ask? She married a horse trainer and he accidentally hurt her horse one day. Probably not having hobbies. Everyone should have something that they strive for and make them happy to put in the effort. You're not a bad person if you have no hobbies, but I bet you're not as happy as you could be either. Sleep is not a hobby. Eating shouldn't be a hobby. Researching, mapping, and touring local or exotic restaurants could be though, and so is cooking. My ex had 0 hobbies. It became exhausting to be with her because she was constantly looking to me to entertain her. When we were off work or both done with work for the day, she was glued to me. If I wanted to do something I enjoyed that she did not like or could not participate in, then she'd complain. So I was stuck in a constant state of trying to find things we both enjoy. We were together for 3 years. When we broke up the next day, felt like a huge weight was lifted off of my shoulders. No hobbies is definitely a red flag. Girls who are into Taylor Swift. I don't mean you like her, you like her music, etc. I like her music too. However, when you start referring to her as mother, which is apparently a thing, it's gone too far. This is a disturbing factoid I did not need to know. I have interacted with hundreds of people who are into Sailor Moon / My Little Pony. They are the strongest personality identifiers I know, and everyone following either one into adulthood have some level of mental instability, especially the men. Especially with My Little Pony. I went to a psychiatrist years ago who had My Little Pony decor over the wall. He told me I could pick my own meds, and he would write the prescription. It was weird as heck, and made me uncomfortable. Anything to do with dead people. I met a girl whose dream job was to be a mortician. She volunteers to help with the coroner. Okay, a little strange to me, but I guess someone needs to do those jobs. However, on the date she went into great detail about what her favorite kind of body was to cut up and made concerning comments about preferring dead people or that maybe one day I would end up on her table. I fully deleted the dating app after that date. Not particularly a red flag, but sneakerheads always give me the irks. I can't pinpoint why though. Collecting stuff out of interest is fine, but I think sneakerheads often just follow a trend. To me they feel like the kind of person who brags about their expensive stuff, even though nobody in the room thinks it's impressive. An answer I get a lot is I like to chill. Granted, it's not all of the time, but most of the time, that's just code for I have no hobbies. Tends to with people who expect you to entertain them. Sometimes it's code for smoking until I'm in a vegetative state is my whole personality. I'll probably get downvoted to hell for this, and I'm also really late to the thread, as I've gotten older and met more women in the dating world. Girls that love Disney and actively collect Disney stuff and try to go to the parks a lot. I've found they tend to be entitled and selfish. Fake martial arts. And I don't mean the ones where it's clearly just exercise. I'm talking about those PPL who think they have psychic abilities. Dunno if this is a red flag, but I'm a permanent hobby seeker. I'll join groups, buy equipment, spend thousands but then find the next thing I'm interested in. I'm in a constant state of hobby acquisition with a limited lifespan. I'm talking pianos, guitars, motorbikes, boats, go-karts, bows, huge fish tanks, table saws, welders, car hoists, broken excavators, and I'm just getting started. I do love my dogs though. They are the only constant rewarding hobby. I guess this is a red flag if you don't have the storage capacity. Personally, even though I love MTG and Pokemon stuff, I'm weary when I meet people who like the hobby, as sometimes they are just the worst. For example, I was getting a box from the celebrations set in a Walmart. I saw it, and it was one my partner and I had not seen yet and wanted to open for fun. A dude behind me was also waiting on getting boxes and started talking to me. He was getting like 5 of the ETBs, the last of them really, and he smelled so bad, like someone left a pepperoni stick under a couch for a year and then took it and used it for deodorant. I was dying. POPLS stared at us so hard at the checkout area cause he would not geo away. I honestly didn't know whether to feel bad for him or vomit. Binge drinking. I have an ex-boyfriend who wouldn't drink all week, but then goes out to the bar on the weekends and takes it to the extreme every single time. I hated it. Not exactly a red flag, but when I hear about one hobby wives don't want their husbands to get involved is oftentimes fishing. The reason I heard is that guys who are really into fishing are almost never home during their free time. Plus, that it can get very expensive. But then again, what hobby isn't? I always joke every hobby is actually 2 hobbies. Buying/collecting and doing. And while I'm definitely guilty of the first, the hobby stashes I've seen generally amaze me. Though I guess my hobby stash seems okay for each hobby. If you combined all of my hobbies, it would be overwhelming. I do know quite a few guys for whom the wife is the reason they took on fishing. Quiet and peace away from home is the draw for them. Anything to do with dead people. I met a girl whose dream job was to be a mortician. She volunteers to help with the coroner. Okay, a little strange to me, but I guess someone needs to do those jobs. However, on the date she went into great detail about what her favorite kind of body was to cut up and made concerning comments about preferring dead people or that maybe one day I would end up on her table. I fully deleted the dating app after that date. Civil War reenactors. I've met several and all seem to wish the other side won. Every single Civil War reenactor I have ever met is a supporter of the Confederacy, even the guys who wear blue. In fact, they often have to bribe people to wear blue because none of them ever want to play the part of a Union soldier. CrossFit. Usually I tell people I go to the gym and only tell them I do CrossFit when I know them well. People tend to look at us like we are crazy and we only think about that, and it's not totally a lie. I particularly avoid profiles who list self-care and shopping as their hobbies, often the only ones. It's not like I consider those bad, but I doubt that there will be much in common between me and those people. Also, whatever personal growth means, Nobody ever replied me explaining that one, but I have a feeling that it's something I should avoid. Long ago, when I first started dating my now wife, she asked me if I played World of Warcraft. I told her didn't, but asked why she cared. She told me that the guy she lived with right before me would ignore her every night and weekend while playing WoW, and she wouldn't go through that again. To this day, I've never played an online game, just to make sure I don't get addicted. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe.